Stop relying on gear that fails when you need it most. We aren't just talking about shiny toys today. We are talking about 20 life-saving, high-utility tools that fit inside your pocket and vanish until the moment they're needed. From a $4 fire starter used by special forces to a folding knife that embarrasses brands costing 5 times as much, this is the definitive loadout for the modern survivor. And you'll want to stick around, because the flashlight at number 2 changes the entire game for night vision. You can grab every single piece of gear on this list right from the links in the description below. Just a heads up, the prices mentioned are current as of this recording in USD, but they fluctuate based on sales, supply chain chaos, and Amazon or Temu discounts. Number 20, Ranger Bands. We are kicking this off with something that looks like trash but functions like a high-end survival multi-tool. You might see a simple black rubber loop, but in the field, this is pure tactical gold. These aren't your office supply store elastic bands that snap after a week in the sun. We are talking about EPDM rubber ethylene propylene DN monomer. This material is heat-resistant, UV stable, and incredibly tough. You can buy a pack of these on Amazon for about $10, or if you are thrifty and shopping on Temu, you can find them for around $4. Hell, you can even make them yourself by slicing up an old bicycle inner tube, but the commercially available ones are often treated for better elasticity. The primary use here is gear silence. If you have a zipper pull that jingles like a wind chime every time you take a step, a small Ranger Band locks it down. If you have a flashlight that feels slick in wet hands or when you're wearing gloves, rolling a few of these over the body creates an indestructible, high-traction grip that won't peel off like grip tape. But the real secret? These things are flammable. Extremely flammable. Because they are made of dense rubber, they don't just flash and burn out, they burn slow and hot, acting as an emergency fire extender. If you are trying to light damp twigs and your lighter flame isn't enough, wrap a Ranger Band around the kindling and light the band. It will burn for several minutes, drying out the wood and getting your fire going when nothing else will. It's the cheapest life insurance you can carry in your pocket. Number 19. renmu 7010. Moving to our first blade, and we are addressing a legend in the budget knife community. This isn't just a cheap knife, it is arguably the best value for money frame lock ever machined. For years, this knife was known as the 710, and it has built a cult following for a reason. You can pick this up on Amazon for around $18 to $22, and sometimes catch it on Temu for slightly less. What you are paying for is a masterclass in manufacturing efficiency. The handle is solid stainless steel, stone-washed to hide scratches, which gives it a premium heft that plastic-handled knives simply lack. But let's talk about the lock. Most budget knives use a liner lock, which is a thin leaf of metal inside the handle. The 7010 uses a frame lock, meaning the entire side of the handle itself moves to lock the blade open. This is a mechanism usually found on knives costing $400 or more, like the famous Chris Reeve Sebenza. It makes the lockup incredibly strong. You could hammer on the spine of this knife, and it likely wouldn't fail. The blade steel is 8CR13 mauve or sometimes 12C27 Sandvik, depending on the batch. While 8CR isn't a super steel, renmu's heat treatment is superior to almost any other budget brand. It takes a razor edge with ease. The hollow grind on the blade makes it an exceptional slicer, perfect for opening packages, food prep, or emergency cutting tasks. It's small, discreet, and non-threatening, making it the perfect office carry knife that won't scare your coworkers but will still perform when the chips are down. Number 18. USB Data Blocker. Survival in 2025 isn't just about starting fires and cutting rope, it's about protecting your digital life. If you plug your phone into a public charging kiosk at an airport, a hotel, or a coffee shop, you are taking a massive risk. This is called juice jacking. Hackers can modify these USB ports to steal data from your phone or inject malware the moment you plug in. That's where this tiny $6 to $8 gadget comes in. It looks like a regular USB adapter, but it's missing 2 specific pins inside the connector. USB cables have 4 wires, 2 for power and 2 for data transfer. This device physically removes the data pins. It creates an air gap for your information. When you plug this into a sketchy public port, it allows the electricity to flow through to charge your battery, but it physically prevents any data from moving back and forth. There is no software to hack, no password to bypass. It is a hardware firewall for your pocket. You can find these on Amazon in multi-packs or singly on Temu. It is small enough to keep on your keychain or in your wallet. In an urban survival scenario where your phone is your map, your bank, and your communication line, getting your device bricked by a malicious charger could leave you stranded. Do not trust public power without a condom for your charging cable. Number 17. Ace Beam Pokelit. Let's shed some light on the situation literally. Most people buy flashlights based on one number, lumens. They want the brightest, blindingest light possible. But in a survival situation, quality of light matters more than quantity. That is why the Ace Beam Pokelit AA is a mandatory addition to this list. Priced around $20 to $25 on Amazon, this light uses a Nite 219F LED emitter. Why does that matter? Because it has a high CRI, or color rendering index, of over 90. Standard LED flashlights wash everything out in a harsh blue-white light. They make a stick look like a snake or oil look like blood. A high CRI light reveals colors accurately, almost like sunlight. If you are trying to track a blood trail, identify a rewiring diagram in a blackout, or check a wound for infection, you need to see the true color of what you are looking at. The pokelit is powered by a 14500 lithium-ion battery that has a USB-C port built right into the battery itself, so you don't need a separate charger. But here is the survival hack. It is dual fuel. If that lithium battery dies and the grid is down, you can pop in a standard AA alkaline battery, the most common battery in the world, and it will still work. It puts out 550 lumens on the lithium cell, which is enough to blind an attacker or light up a parking lot, but it drops to a lower usable output on a AA. It comes in decent colors like orange or OD green, so if you drop it in the grass, you can actually find it. Number 16, Night Eyes Doohickey. Sometimes you cannot carry a knife. Maybe you are going into a courthouse, a stadium, or hopping on a flight. Does that mean you go helpless? Absolutely not. You carry this. The Nite Eyes Doohickey is a one-piece multi-tool that costs about $6 on Amazon and often less on Temu. It is made of stainless steel and is completely TSA compliant because it lacks a sharp blade. But don't let that fool you, it is still a serious tool. It features a box cutter edge that isn't sharp to the touch but uses geometry to slice through tape and cardboard. It has a bottle opener, a ruler, and a wrench cutout for common bolt sizes. But the most valuable feature for a concealed carrier is the pry-tip, flathead screwdriver. In an urban environment, you are constantly needing to pry things open, paint cans, stuck windows, battery compartments. Using your knife tip for that is a recipe for a broken knife. The doohickey takes that abuse, it clips onto your keychain with a built-in carabiner, so it's always there. It's also effective as a makeshift impact weapon in a fist load scenario. Wrapping your fingers around it gives you a rigid piece of steel to reinforce a punch. It's the tool you carry when you can't carry a tool. Number 15, Rescue Tool. If you drive a vehicle, or even if you just ride in one, this $10 to $15 piece of plastic and steel is non-negotiable. The Rescue Tool is the gold standard for compact vehicle extrication. You can find knockoffs on Temu for $3, but this is one area where I strongly suggest buying the genuine US-made article on Amazon because spring tension matters when you are underwater. This tool serves two distinct, terrifying purposes: cutting a locked seatbelt and shattering a tempered glass window. Let's talk about the physics of entrapment. When a vehicle rolls over, the seatbelt pretensioner fires, locking you into place with hundreds of pounds of force. You cannot press the release button because your body weight is hanging on the belt. The Rescue features a guarded razor blade, usually 420 stainless steel angled perfectly to slice through the heavy nylon webbing of a seatbelt with a single pull. It's protected, so you can't cut yourself, but it will zip through a belt like a zipper. But the real magic is the spring-loaded center punch. In a panic, you cannot swing a hammer underwater. The resistance of the water makes it impossible to generate enough kinetic energy to break glass. The Rescue uses stored potential energy. You simply press the black head against the side window. Inside, a coiled spring compresses until it reaches a release point, firing a hardened steel spike into the glass with about 12 pounds of impact force concentrated on a microscopic point. This shatters tempered glass instantly. Critical warning, you need to know your car. This tool works on tempered glass, which is what side windows are traditionally made of. Many modern luxury cars are now using laminated glass for side windows, the same stuff windshields are made of to reduce road noise. A center punch will not break laminated glass, it will just crack it. Go to your car window, look at the bottom corner etchings. If it says laminated, you need a different escape plan. If it says tempered, the rescue is your ticket out. Clip it to your sun visor or your gear shift, not your keychain, because if your keys are in the ignition and the car is mangled, you might not be able to reach them. Number 14, Ganzo Firebird FH41. At number 14, we have the blade that effectively ended the budget knives or junk era. The Ganzo Firebird FH41 is, without hyperbole, the best D2 steel flipper you can buy for under $30. You can grab this on Amazon for around $28 or navigate the shipping times of Temu for a few dollars less. A decade ago, a knife with these materials would have cost you $80 minimum. Ganzo, a Chinese manufacturer initially famous for cloning big brands, shifted gears to produce original designs, and the FH41 is their masterpiece. The blade is machined from D2 tool steel. D2 is a semi-stainless steel, meaning it has high carbon content, 1.5%, and just enough chromium, 12%, to almost qualify as stainless. What does this mean for you? It means aggressive edge retention. D2 takes a toothy edge that bites into materials like rope, cardboard, and wood with ferocity. It holds that edge significantly longer than the 8CR13 Mauve, or 420 HC steels found in entry-level Kershaws or Gerbers. Hardened to around 60 HRC, this blade is a laser beam. The action is what really sells it. The FH41 runs on ball bearings, not phosphor bronze washers. When you press the flipper tab, the blade doesn't just open, it flies out with a hydraulic, frictionless feel and locks up with a satisfying thwack. The handle is G10, a high-pressure fiberglass laminate that is impervious to water, oil, and temperature shifts. The texturing is subtle but grippy. The drop point blade shape is universally useful, strong enough for piercing, but with enough belly for slicing food or skinning game. It's elegant enough to wear with a suit, but tough enough to process kindling in the woods. If you only buy one knife from this entire list to be your daily driver, make it this one. Number 13, Nightcore NTP31 Tactical Pen. The phrase, "the pen is mightier than the sword," usually refers to diplomacy, but in the case of the Nightcore NTP31, it refers to a tungsten steel impact tip. This is a bolt-action tactical pen that sells for roughly $25 on Amazon. While you can find cheap aluminum pens on Temu for $5, the Nightcore offers a level of machining and material quality that justifies the price jump. Why carry a tactical pen? Because we live in a world of non-permissive environments. You can't take a gun into a post office. You often can't take a knife into a concert venue or a corporate boardroom. But a pen? A pen belongs everywhere. The NTP31 is machined from aerospace-grade 6061 T6 aluminum alloy with a HA3 military-grade hard anodized finish. It is lightweight, corrosion-resistant, and incredibly rigid. The business end of this tool features a tapered tip made of tungsten steel. Tungsten is second only to diamond in hardness. This tip is designed primarily as a glass breaker for emergency egress, similar to the renmu but manual. However, in a defensive scenario, it functions as a kubaton or a fist-load weapon. It concentrates the force of a punch into a tiny surface area, causing immense pain, compliance, or structural damage to an attacker without requiring the user to have martial arts training. The bolt-action mechanism used to deploy the ink cartridge is addictive. It's essentially a high-quality fidget toy that locks the Schneider gel ink refill in place. Unlike twist-open pens that can unscrew in your pocket, the unique bolt lock ensures the pen is ready to write or fight instantly. It's the ultimate gray man tool, innocuous to the observer but a devastating force multiplier in the hand. Number 12, Nextool Flagship Pro. If Leatherman is the iPhone of the multi-tool world, Nextool is the high-end Android that does things the iPhone refuses to do. The Nextool Flagship Pro is a massive disruptor in the EDC space. Priced around $40 to $50 on Amazon, this tool offers a feature set that you usually have to pay $120 for. The standout feature here is the scissors. On most multi-tools, even expensive ones, the scissors are a tiny afterthought accessory barely capable of cutting a loose thread. The Flagship Pro features full-size, spring-loaded shears that are nearly as large as the pliers themselves. These scissors dominate. They can cut through paracord, thick cardboard, denim, and even light sheet metal. In a first aid scenario, these shears are actually functional for cutting clothing away from a wound, which is something almost no other multi-tool can claim. The pliers are spring-loaded, a feature many users prefer over Leatherman's manual pliers, and feature replaceable wire cutters, meaning if you chew them up cutting hard wire, you can swap them out. The blade is made of 5-0 Cra-1-5 Movi steel, which is a decent budget stainless that is easy to sharpen. It also includes a saw that locks, a line cutter, and a glass breaker. The fit and finish are surprisingly good, with a stone-washed aesthetic that hides wear. Is it perfect? No. The screwdriver selection is a bit limited compared to a bit driver system, and the file is lackluster. But for a general-purpose urban survival tool, the combination of a locking blade, robust pliers, and actual usable scissors makes this a powerhouse. It challenges the idea that you need to spend triple digits to get a reliable toolbox on your belt. Number 11. Pocket Chainsaw. When we talk about processing wood in a survival situation, we usually think of hatchets or folding saws, but for a concealed carry kit, those are too bulky. Enter the Pocket Chainsaw. You can find high-end versions like the Nordic Pocket Saw on Amazon for $40 plus, or generic mangrove saws on Temu for about $8 to $12. The concept is the same, though the steel quality varies. This is essentially a chainsaw chain with nylon webbing loop handles attached to each end. Unlike the flimsy wire saws you see in cheap survival kits, the ones that are just a jagged wire that snaps the first time you get it hot, a pocket chainsaw has actual cutting teeth. These teeth are bidirectional, meaning they cut both when you pull left and when you pull right. This clears chips efficiently and prevents binding. With this tool, you can rip through a 6-inch log in under a minute. It wraps around the timber, allowing you to use your large muscle groups, back and shoulders, rather than just your arm. This efficiency is critical when you are counting calories in a survival situation. It rolls up into a puck-sized pouch that fits in a back pocket. The difference between the $40 version and the $10 version usually comes down to the carbon content of the steel and the quality of the rivets. The premium versions use high-carbon heat-treated steel that stays sharp for cords of wood. The cheap ones might dull faster, but for an emergency kit that might only be used once or twice, the budget option on Temu is surprisingly capable. Just remember to keep it oiled. With great cutting power comes great susceptibility to rust. Number 10. Credit Card Fresnel Lens. We are starting the top 10 with a piece of gear that effectively gives you the power of a nuclear reactor in your wallet for less than the cost of a cup of coffee. This is the Credit Card Fresnel Lens. You can buy a multi-pack of these on Amazon for about $5 to $7, or find them on Temu for pennies on the dollar. Most people look at this and see a cheap novelty magnifying glass for reading menus. A survivalist looks at this and sees infinite fire. The science here is critical. A standard magnifying glass is heavy, thick, and breakable glass. A Fresnel lens uses a series of concentric annular sections, think of them like the ridges on a vinyl record, to mimic the curvature of a thick lens in a flat, flexible sheet of plastic. This reduces the focal length and intensifies the solar radiation into a pinpoint laser of heat. In a survival situation, lighters run out of fuel, ferro rods eventually wear down or get lost. As long as the sun is shining, this piece of plastic provides an ignition source that never depletes. But you have to know how to use it. You can't just shine it on a log. You need to process your tinder into a bird's nest of ultrafine dark material. Punkwood, charred cloth, or dried horse dung works best because dark colors absorb the heat spectrum while white fibers reflect it. You focus the solar beam until you have a glowing ember, not a flame, and then you nurse that ember into a fire. Beyond fire, this is a legitimate medical tool. If you get a microscopic splinter of steel or glass in your hand, or a tick buried in your skin, the 3x or 4x magnification allows you to perform field surgery on yourself that would be impossible with the naked eye. It takes up zero space, weighs 0 ounces, and offers infinite utility. If you don't have one behind your ID in your wallet right now, you are wrong. Number 9, Sativian ST103. At number 9, we have a knife that proves we are living in the golden age of budget cutlery. This is the Sativian ST103. 10 years ago, if you wanted a knife with these materials, you were paying $150 to a custom maker. Today, you can get this on Amazon for roughly $25 to $29. Sativian is a manufacturer that essentially took the market by the throat by offering premium handle materials on budget blades. The star of the show here is the micarta scales. Most knives in this price bracket use G10 fiberglass or cheap FRN plast. The ST103 uses micarta, which is a composite of linen or canvas set in phenolic resin. Why does this matter for a concealed carry survivalist? Because of hydrophilic grip. When G10 gets wet with water, oil, or blood, it gets slick. Micarta does the opposite. The microscopic fabric fibers on the surface actually absorb a tiny amount of moisture and swell, creating a fuzzy, tacky texture that locks into your hand. The wetter it gets, the grippier it gets. In a storm, or a high-stress defensive situation where your palms are sweating, this material science saves lives. The blade is D2 tool steel, a semi-stainless alloy with high carbon and chromium. It is legendary for its edge retention. You will likely only need to sharpen this knife once a year with normal use. The action runs on ceramic ball bearings, not washers. This means the deployment is explosive. You hit the flipper tab, and the blade locks open with a mechanical authority that feels like a bank vault slamming shut. The blade geometry is a high, flat grind, which makes it an exceptional slicer for food prep or cutting thick cardboard. It's a gentleman's tactical knife. It looks classy enough to clip to a pair of slacks, but it has the structural integrity to be driven through a car door if necessary. Number 8, Thyrm Switchback 2. If you carry a flashlight, and you should, this $20 accessory turns it from a lighting tool into a weapon retention system. The Thyrm Switchback 2 is designed to solve a very specific tactical problem. How do you shoot a handgun with two hands while also holding a flashlight? In the old days, you had to use the Harry's technique, crossing your wrists, or the FBI hold, holding the light away from your body. Both compromise your recoil control. The Switchback is a polymer ring that replaces the pocket clip on your 1-inch diameter tactical lights. Think Surefire, Streamlight, or some Nightcore models available on Amazon. It features a finger ring and a heavy-duty pocket clip. When you draw your flashlight, you loop your index finger through the ring. This allows you to deploy the light instantly. But the genius is in the switchback technique. You can flip the light around so it hangs off the back of your hand, allowing you to form a full two-handed grip on your pistol. When you need light, you press the tail cap of the flashlight against the back of your other hand's knuckles to activate it. It also serves as a retention ring. If you are in a physical altercation, or if you need to reload your weapon, fix a malfunction, or climb a fence, you don't have to put the flashlight down or stow it. You just open your hand and the light dangles securely from your index finger, leaving your fingers free to work. When you're done, you flip it back into the palm. It is made in the USA from rugged polymer that can take a beating. It transforms a passive illumination tool into an aggressive fighting implement. Note that this is specific to tactical style lights with tail caps. It won't work on your little side switch EDC lights. Number 7, Wurkkos Starflash Micro Signal Mirror. In the age of GPS beacons and satellite phones, why are we talking about a piece of plastic mirror? Because electronics fail, batteries die, circuits corrode, the physics of light reflection does not fail. The UST Starflash Micro is an acrylic signal mirror that costs around $8 on Amazon. It is virtually indestructible, floats in water, and weighs less than an ounce. But the reason it makes this list over a standard glass mirror is the retro-reflective aiming grid. Using a regular mirror to signal a plane is surprisingly difficult. You are trying to hit a moving target miles away with a beam of light you can't see. The Starflash solves this with a mesh grid in the center of the peephole. When you look through the hole at the sun, don't stare directly at the sun obviously, the mesh catches the sunlight and creates a glowing fireball dot in your vision. You simply place that glowing dot on your target, a rescue helicopter, a ship, or a search party on a distant ridge. If the dot is on them, the flash is hitting them. The range of this device is terrifying. On a clear day, the flash from a 2x 3-inch mirror can be seen for over 10 miles. It cuts through haze and atmospheric distortion better than a strobe light. In an urban survival scenario, this allows for silent communication. You can signal a neighbor 3 blocks away without alerting the looters on the street below. You can flash a drone overhead without screaming and giving away your position. It also doubles as a hygiene mirror for checking teeth, eyes, or hard-to-see wounds on your face or back. It is a piece of gear that requires 0 maintenance but offers infinite range capability. Do not buy the cheap toy mirrors on Temu that lack the aiming grid. Without the grid, you are just flashing light at random clouds. Number 6. Wurkkos TS10. At number 6, we have an engineering marvel that has completely disrupted the flashlight industry. The Wurkkos TS10 looks like a toy, it's the size of a thumb drive, and comes in fun colors like red and brass. But do not let the form factor fool you. This is a 1,400 lumen hot rod powered by a 14500 lithium-ion battery, and it sells for about $20 to $25 on Amazon. The TS10 runs on the Anduril 2 user interface. This is an open-source firmware developed by flashlight enthusiasts, not corporations. It turns the single button on the light into a fully programmable computer. You can configure the thermal sealing, the ramp speed, the strobe frequency, and even check the exact voltage of your battery to within 0.1 volts by counting the blinks. This level of information is vital in a survival scenario where energy management is key. But the real tactical advantage here is the emitters. It uses 3 CSP LEDs that offer 90+ CRI color rendering index. As we mentioned with the pokelit, high CRI is non-negotiable for medical assessment and identifying threats in low light. The TS10 floods a room with a wall of light that rivals huge tactical batons. However, be warned, this light gets hot, fast. It is physically pushing the limits of what the aluminum body can dissipate. It also features auxiliary LEDs in different colors, red, blue, orange, that stay on when the light is off, acting as a locator beacon so you can find your light in pitch blackness. You can set these to low to run for months on a single charge. For a gray man, this is the ultimate sleeper light. It looks like a harmless keychain gadget, but it has the power to visually stun an aggressor and light up an entire alleyway. Just make sure you lock it out before putting it in your pocket, or you might burn a hole in your pants. Number 5. Titan Survivor Cord. We are entering the top 5 with a product that takes a military staple and completely redesigns it for modern survival evasion. This is Titan Survivor Cord. You can pick up a 100-foot hank on Amazon for around $35 or find shorter, unbranded lengths on Temu for $10. To $15 though, I'd warn you that the tensile strength on the knockoffs is rarely rated. This isn't just rope, it is a patented survival system woven into a single strand of cordage. Standard 550 cord is great, but it's just nylon. Survivor Cord integrates 3 additional life-saving strands into the core alongside the standard 7 nylon yarns. First, you have a strand of waxed jute twine. In a hypothermic scenario, finding dry tinder is the hardest part of fire starting. You simply pull this red strand out, fluff it up with your knife spine to increase surface area, and it catches a spark instantly even in pouring rain because the wax prevents moisture absorption. It burns slowly, acting as a candle wick to dry out your larger kindling. Second, there is a 25-pound test monofilament fishing line. Passive food gathering, setting lines, and traps while you sleep is far more calorie efficient than active hunting. Having high-strength line hidden in your bootlaces means you can set bank lines for fish or birds without carrying a tackle box. Third, and most impressively, there is a 30-gauge conductive copper wire. This is the MacGyver strand. It conducts electricity, so you can use it for emergency radio antenna repair or to bridge a connection in a broken flashlight. But mechanically, it is a non-ferrous snare wire. It holds its shape when bent, making it perfect for setting small game snares for squirrels or rabbits, or for acting as a tripwire trigger for a perimeter alarm. The outer sheath is rated for 620 pounds, significantly higher than standard mil-spec cord. By replacing your bootlaces, zipper pulls, or knife handle wrap with this, you are effectively wearing a fire kit, a fishing kit, and a trapping kit, all completely invisible to the naked eye. Number 4. Thyrm cellvault XL. Logistics win wars, and in a survival situation, your logistics are batteries. The Thyrm cellvault XL is a specialized battery storage ecosystem that attaches to any MOLLE webbing or clips inside a pocket. Made in the USA, this costs about $30 on Amazon. While you can find generic waterproof capsules on Temu for $5, They lack the specific internal geometry that prevents battery rattle and potential short-circuiting. Why is this on a concealed carry list? Because mixing dead batteries with live ones, or letting lithium batteries tumble around in a pocket with loose change, is a recipe for a thermal runaway fire. The cellvault XL is designed to hold pairs of 18,650 seconds CR123S AAAs or AAs in a silent, rattle-free IPX8 waterproof shell. The XL version features a removable inner divider that allows you to configure the internal space. You can carry two 18,650 seconds for your primary light and pull the divider to fit four CR123S for your weapon light. But looking beyond batteries, this is a crush-proof survival capsule. Because the body is slightly curved, it contours to the body when mounted on a belt or bag, maintaining a lower profile than round tubes. You can stuff it with tinder, rolled up cash, emergency medication, or a compact fishing kit. The locking clamp is designed to stay attached even during a sprint or a struggle, requiring a deliberate action to release. In a grid-down scenario where recharging isn't an option, the person with spare power controls the Nite. This ensures your power source is dry, organized, and physically protected from impact. Number 3. Roxson KS2 Elite. At number 3, we have the multi-tool that is currently embarrassing the legacy American brands by listening to what users actually want. This is the Roxson KS2 Elite. Priced around $40 to $50 on Amazon, this tool addresses the biggest failure of traditional multi-tools, the lack of a primary capable knife, and functional scissors. The Elite designation is crucial here because it upgrades the blade steel to D2. Most multi-tools use soft 420HC stainless that dulls after cutting a few cardboard boxes. The D2 on the KS2 takes a toothy, aggressive edge that lasts for months. The blade shape is a modified Wurkkos, which is ideal for utility draw cuts, and it locks securely with a liner lock. But the real engineering marvel is the scissor mechanism. Unlike the tiny spring-broken scissors on Swiss Army knives, the KS2 features massive, full-size shears that deploy from the handle. These scissors are robust enough to cut through leather belts, heavy blister packs, and even thick denim in a trauma first aid scenario. It also features a saw that is surprisingly aggressive for its size, capable of notching wood for traps or shelters. The toolset includes a glass breaker, tweezers, and compatibility with a standard bit driver set, meaning you can carry a sleeve of bits to disassemble almost anything. The layout is intuitive. You can access the main tools, the knife and saw, without opening the tool up, which is a massive ergonomic advantage. The G10 handles provide excellent grip even when wet or bloody. For an urban environment where you are more likely to need to cut a seatbelt or open a crate than loosen a rusted nut, this shear-centric form factor is vastly superior to plier-based tools. Number 2. Wurkkos FC11. This is the flashlight that ended the lumen wars and started the quality war. The Wurkkos FC11. For years, tactical lights used cool white, low CRI emitters because they look brighter on paper specs. The FC11 flips the script. Available for $30 to $35 on Amazon, this light typically uses a Nichia 519A emitter. This provides high CRI, color rendering index light, usually 90 plus out of 100. Why is this a game changer? Because in a high-stress survival situation, you need information, not just brightness. Standard cool white LED lights wash out colors, making a red wire look black, or a trail of blood look like oil. The FC11 renders colors almost as accurately as sunlight. If you are checking a child for a rash, identifying a snake in the brush, or trying to distinguish between a friend and a foe in the shadows, high CRI gives you visual clarity that raw lumens cannot. It is powered by a standard 18650 rechargeable battery, which is included, and charges via a USB-C port built directly into the body, so you don't need a separate charger. It features a magnetic tail cap, allowing you to slap it onto a car hood, a fuse box, or a door frame for hands-free work. The user interface is brilliant. You can switch between stepped modes, low med, high, or ramping mode, where you hold the button and it smoothly brightens or dims to the exact level you need. It puts out 1,300 lumens on turbo, enough to blind an attacker, but also has a sub-lumen moonlight mode that can run for weeks, perfect for navigating a shelter without waking everyone up. For the price, it is arguably the best general-purpose survival light on the planet. Number 1. Ruike P81. We have arrived at number 1. If you were going to carry one piece of gear from this list, this is the one that offers the highest return on investment, unmatched durability, and absolute reliability. The Ruike P81. You can find this for about $32 to $35 on Amazon. This knife is the benchmark against which all other budget blades are measured, and for good reason. The blade is made from Sandvik 14C28N steel. This is a nitrogen-enriched Swedish steel developed specifically for the knife industry. Unlike D2, which can rust, 14C28N is incredibly corrosion resistant, making it ideal for food prep or wet environments. It takes a razor edge that is finer than almost any other budget steel, and it is tough enough not to chip when you hit a staple or a bone. The handle is solid stainless steel with a heavy stonewash finish that hides wear and scratches beautifully. The lock mechanism is a frame lock. There are no plastic scales to crack, no thin liners to warp. The lock bar is a thick section of the handle itself, creating a lockup that is virtually bank vault tight. You can feel the quality the second you flip it open. It runs on ball bearings and deploys with a snap that sounds like a distinct mechanical crack. The ergonomics are slim and neutral, meaning it fits any hand size comfortably. The deep carry pocket clip allows the knife to disappear completely inside your pocket. The only thing visible is a tiny clip maintaining your gray man status perfectly. It is elegant enough to open a letter in a boardroom and rugged enough to process game in the wild. It is simply the best value for money survival tool on the market today. Oh, that is your loadout. 20 tools that prove you don't need a military budget to have military grade capability. But remember, the gear is only 10% of the equation. A $300 knife stays in your pocket if you don't have the mindset to use it, and a $30 flashlight is useless if you haven't charged the battery. The gray man concept isn't just about what you buy. It's about skill, awareness, and blending in until the moment you need to stand out. Test your gear, train with it, and carry it. Check the links in the description to grab this gear before the prices spike again. Stay prepared, stay gray, and I'll see you in the next one.